Welcome. This is the sun today for the 7th of December 2023. The last 24 hours has been fairly active on the sun, though not quite as active as the previous day. So let's take a look at what's been going on. Well, let's start by looking at the sunspots. This is the frame 1 at the top left. And this is the daily sunspot number plotted for the last 30 days. And you can see here that we're at about 130, which is slightly lower than it was yesterday. The average for the month is about 120, which is higher than the last month's average, but that's a long way to go yet. However, if we go back a full rotation of the sun and look at the same longitudes last time around, you can see we're about 50 points higher than we were back then. So the sun is continuing to add spots over the last month. Next, let's take a look at the activity level of the sun, and that's best done by looking at the X-ray flux from the sun. It's up slightly from yesterday, it's C1 level, and it produced two major flares, an M2 flare late yesterday and a C8 flare earlier this morning. The M2 was the largest of the M flares that this region has produced so far. Next, let's see how the Earth is doing in this solar environment, and that's best measured by the KP index, which is a measure of geomagnetic activity. You can see that it's been fairly constant for the last couple of days, but it's actually decaying a little. So we've had a high level of 3 and a low level of 1. So we've not really had any major activity at all. And the reason for that is that the solar wind has dropped from about 600 kilometers per second to 500 kilometers per second and is still falling. Well, let's see where all the activity is on the sun. We'll look at frame 4 here on the right, and I've plotted here where all the sunspots are, and the numbered ones are the ones that are the major regions. We had another one yesterday, which is 3514 off on the northeast there. You can see 3513 has produced its two flares, but overall there's quite a lot of activity going on. We did lose one region over the limb yesterday, 3501, and we're about to lose 3503 today, so sunspot number may drop tomorrow unless something comes up. There are a number of prominences marked with P's around the limb here, and there's one of note which is up in the northwest with the red box around it. That looks as though it's either erupting right now or will erupt soon. In the southeast, there's a bright area behind the limb, which may be a new region coming over the limb. And that's something that we talked about yesterday, and I'll mention a bit more about that in a minute. Otherwise, I think we can expect a few more flares from these regions in the coming days. So what is in our future for solar activity? This is an image taken with helioseismology. The gray area is a magnetogram of the visible disk. The black and white areas are the strong magnetic fields. And on the left of this image, you can see the image of the far side taken with helioseismology. Now, this image was taken 2 days ago, so it's a little bit behind the times. The sun rotates from east to west, so that bottom region there is going to be fairly close to the limb, and I think that's what we're seeing with that bright area behind the southeast limb. There's another bigger area in the north, about another 3 or 4 days behind it, so that'll be interesting to see in a few days' time. So that's it for today. This is a more detailed version of the sun today that I put on Twitter each day, and I hope you enjoyed it. So until next time, stay safe and goodbye.